All right, let's talk about something that's, well, kind of weird about being human. It's that invisible and super frustrating gap between what you want to do and what your brain decides to do instead.
I mean, it sounds like a simple question, right? But seriously, think about it. If your mind belongs to you, why does it so often feel like it's, I don't know, running its own show? Like it has a completely different script it's following?
Oh, you know this feeling. We all do. You decide, tonight I'm gonna get to sleep early. You're committed, but the second your head hits that pillow, bam! Your brain decides it's the perfect time to do a full, high-definition replay of that awkward thing you said back in 2018.
Or how about this? You make a very clear, conscious decision. Okay, no more checking my phone. But before you've even finished the sentence in your head, your hand is already moving. It's like it has a mind of its own, just pure autopilot. And then there's the big one, the classic. You tell yourself, okay, I'm just not going to think about that thing anymore. You push it away and boom, it boomerangs right back into your head before you can even blink. It really feels like a battle you're just doomed to lose.
So what on earth is going on here? Well, it turns out, and this is wild, a huge amount of what happens in our mind happens before we're even aware of it. Yeah, our conscious mind, it's often the last one to get the memo.
And look, this isn't just some vague feeling we all have. It's something scientists have actually seen in action. Your brain physically starts preparing for a movement, well before you feel like you've made the decision to move.
There's this really famous experiment that shows this perfectly. So scientists had people hooked up to brain scanners and just told them, hey, press this button whenever you feel the urge. And what they found was just stunning. The brain signals that get the finger ready to move, they fired before the person ever said, okay, I'm deciding to press it now. The physical preparation came first. The feeling of making a choice, that came later. Kind of spooky, right? Now I know what you're thinking. Wait, does that mean we have no free will? And at first glance, it really sounds like that. But it's actually a bit more complicated. A much better way to think about it is that our brain is running two different operating systems, both at the same time.
Okay, so here's the breakdown. On one side, you've got your automatic system. This thing is lightning fast, super efficient, and it just runs on pure habit. It's the reason you can walk down the street without thinking left foot, right foot. Then, on the other side, you've got the deliberate system. This one is slow, it's careful, it actually thinks things through, and, this is key, it can hit the brakes on that automatic pilot. This is you, your conscious self. Now, here's the most important part to get. Your brain's default setting is that automatic system. And why is that? It's simple, really. Our brains are designed to save energy, and running on old habits is the most efficient, low-energy way to operate. Having an intention? That takes work. Being efficient? That's easy. And this leads to a really big shift in how we see our own thoughts. See, we tend to think of our thoughts as commands that we issue. But what if they aren't? Most of the time, they're just guesses, predictions that your automatic system is making based on everything you've ever experienced. It's just trying to predict the future by looking at the past.
So, okay, this brings us right to the heart of it all. If we can't always stop that first automatic thought from popping up, then where is our control? Where does our power actually live? Well, it lives in a tiny but incredibly important little space. And here it is. You get an impulse. Could be a thought, a feeling, an urge to check your phone. And then there's the action. But right between those two things, there's a gap, a little invisible space. And that space, my friends, is absolutely everything. We call this the invisible gap. It's that moment of pure potential between a trigger and your reaction. You might not be able to stop that first impulse from showing up, but inside that gap, you can bring in awareness. And awareness is what creates choice. It's what lets you decide what happens next. Let me give you a perfect example. Your automatic brain might just fire off a fearful thought like, oh no, this is going to be a disaster. But if you can find that gap, you can see it for what it is. You can go, ah, that's a thought. That's not a fact. You realize it's just your brain making a prediction, not reporting a guaranteed future. And here's the real problem we all face. That automatic system of ours, it's basically ancient survival hardware. It was designed to react instantly to, a tiger jumping out of the bushes. But now we're in the modern world, and that same wiring is overreacting to a stressful email or a comment on social media, treating them like they're life or death threats. Okay, so how do we deal with this? How do we make that gap bigger, more obvious, more useful? Well, it all comes down to changing your relationship with your own mind. You have to start seeing it as a tool you can use, not as the ruler that controls you. And there are some simple but incredibly powerful ways to do this. Things like focused breathing, journaling your thoughts, or even just naming the feeling you're having, like, this is anxiety. Even just taking a deliberate pause. Each one of these things acts like a circuit breaker. It interrupts the momentum of that fast automatic brain and gives your slow, deliberate brain a chance to finally wake up and join the conversation.
And here's why that's so important. Your brain gets comfortable with familiar thoughts, even the really negative ones, just because they're easy, low-energy pathways. A thought like, "I always mess things up," can start to feel true, just because you've thought it so many times, it's familiar. Widening that gap is what gives you the power to finally question that familiarity.
And this really is the ultimate takeaway. Your mind is an absolutely incredible tool. It predicts, it imagines, it tries to protect you. But it is not the ruler of your life. And learning how to use that tool skillfully, knowing when to listen to it and when to just pause and let it pass, that's where real control actually comes from.
So, let's go back to that first question. Are you in control of your mind? Well, maybe not in the way we usually think about it. It's not about being a dictator, commanding every single thought. Real control, it isn't about stopping the impulse. It's about finding the awareness to choose your response in that quiet, invisible gap. And speaking of how our brains work, next time on The Explainer, we are going to dive into one of its absolute weirdest habits, how the brain gets certain about something long before it actually understands it. Trust me, once you see how this works, you will never look at your own beliefs the same way again.